What is up, YouTube? I'm Gouda874 here, bringing you guys the semifinals for the PCP. This week we are taking on Brett, coach of the Philadelphia Swirlixers. We both ended off the regular season with an 8-2 record. I just so happened to have a little bit of a higher differential than him, so I got the first overall seed while he got the second overall seed. To recap what happened last week, since we are in semifinals, it's pretty obvious that I did win the quarterfinals matchup. If you didn't go check that out, I highly recommend it. It was a pretty good battle. We played really well, and we won in a bit kind of a landslide, to be honest. It was really nice. But now we are here against Brett. Brett did defeat Nico in order to make it here, so that kind of sucks. I wanted to face Nico, but hey, we get to face Brett. We did beat Brett in the regular season of the PCP. We were one of his 2 losses, as we beat him down with Porygon Z in that matchup. So that's a little bit of a recap for you guys. I'm actually going to throw up a bracket this time. Last time I rushed as I was really late to class. I couldn't give you guys an actual bracket, so this time there's going to be one on screen. I promise it for you guys. Of what we have left remaining, it's just me versus Brett, and it's Shay versus Marcus. And that will go up on Shay's channel, I assume, whenever that gets done. So I recommend you go check that out. Shay's YouTube link is always in the description since he is the commissioner of this league. That's why it's down there. So I highly recommend you go check that out whenever it gets uploaded. I'm really excited for this battle because it's our first playoffs of the new generation, and we're already in the semifinals, and we only need to win one more game to make it to the finals. So again, really excited. A lot of effort went into this game, a lot more than I usually put in. And the matchup is pretty even overall. There's not really much else to say about that. But we're going to go right ahead and look at Brett's team. What he has on his squad consists of Mega Lopunny, Celesteela, Gothitelle Shadow Tag, Suicune, Hatterene, Rillaboom, Darmanitan, Rhyperior, Type Null, Avalugg, and Hitmonchan. Now I expect him to bring consists of Celesteela, Gothitelle, Suicune, the Hat, Darmanitan, and Rhyperior. He definitely could bring the Mega Lopunny because it could do some work against my team. And I know he does like Rillaboom. I personally don't think it's that great in this matchup, but I know he does like to use it, so I could also see that coming. And if he wants some removal on his team, Avalugg or Hitmonchan could come. But outside of that, those are the first 6 I expected him to bring. That's on his team. He's got a few of them. Banded Darm is very hard to switch into. You're going to see I do have Rocky Helmet on a Mon or 2 this weekend. I just need that Darm to get chipped down. And Band just hits extremely hard. It's a Darmanitan, for God's sake. It's really hard to switch into, and I just thought it was noteworthy to note. One big thing on his team is Gothitelle. You have to prep a certain way in order to beat Gothitelle. My team is very heavily prepared for Gothitelle. A lot of my prep went into focusing and making sure I don't lose to that damn thing. Luckily, I do have a Mon that is really good against it overall, but outside of that, I have to be really careful playing around it, and hopefully it doesn't get too many Calm Minds or Cosmic Powers up depending on what set he brings there. That's the set I sort of expect him to bring. The Hatterene with predictions can absolutely destroy my team. If he doesn't predict with it, then it's not that bad, but let's say I switch in a Ferrothorn, he clicks Mystical Fire. I switch in Mandibuzz, expecting a Psychic move, he clicks a Fairy move. Things get scary very fast, and I definitely have to be careful about that. A Calm Mindset could be very scary as well, because then I really don't have a good switch in at all to that thing. It is slow, which is nice, so offensively beating it isn't that hard, but switching into it is going to be another thing if he makes predictions. And then finally, Celesteela is extremely hard to switch into for one reason and one reason only. This thing gets fire moves, so Ferrothorn is not a clean switch into this thing. He's probably going to have a set like, I think it was Leech Seed, Air Slash, Flamethrower, Earthquake is sort of what I'm expecting. But he could throw on a few other moves, but I'm definitely expecting a Flamethrower to hit that Ferrothorn. And I just have a hard time sort of dealing with that Mon. But everything else is obviously still threatening, but not as big of a threat, as not enough to really talk about too much. Luckily for me, Zeraora looks really good in this game overall. Plasma Fist spam is really nice. And then I have Mandibuzz, as I mentioned earlier, is a really good check to Gothitelle, because Gothitelle is forced to run Thunderbolt in order to deal with my Mandibuzz, and then it has to give up a move. And that's going to be really big. But that is Brett's team in a nutshell. What I am bringing to the semifinals game is going to be the Zeraora, Mandibuzz, Slowking, Salazzle, Conkeldurr, and Ferrothorn. First up on the squad this week is going to be Zeraora. Zeraora is running 192 speed with a Jolly Nature, max attack with a Life Orb, moves being Volt Switch, Plasma Fist, Close Combat, and Grass Knot. Grass Knot is there for the Rhyperior. With a little bit of chip, it should be able to knock it out unless it's Rindo Berry, so I have to be very careful about that. Or it's AV, so that's something else that could be a very scary thing, which I could see coming, an AV Rhyperior. So definitely don't want to be clicking Grass Knot recklessly. This was originally Zap Plate, but I realized that I just needed the extra damage, and I felt like I didn't really need the health on Zeraora too much in this matchup, so I felt like the Life Orb would just be better for natural damage output in the end. Zeraora is really good at breaking down my opponent's stall, particularly the Celesteela and Suicune, because they're weak to electric. Plasma Fist is like a 50-50 if it's like Celesteela's max HP with a little bit of defense. The standard calc on Showdown showed basically that's what that calc was. It doesn't kill the Suicune, but Suicune's not really doing too much back to me either. I just gotta hope I don't get burnt. And usually I can just whittle it down to the point where I don't have to worry about it. I have enough speed to outspeed Lopunny, so that thing never becomes a threat unless Zeraora goes down, of course. And then this can beat a few other mons on his team, like the Darm if it's not Scarf, which that could be a thing, let's be real. And then Volt Switch is just a good pivoting. It gets me out of Goth situations if Goth is really physically bulky. Another thing in this battle is figuring out whether Goth's going to be physically bulky or especially bulky. I definitely have to find that out ASAP. But that is the Zeraora set. Very important in this game. It's going to do a lot of work. Second is Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is max HP, max defense with a Rocky Helmet instead of the boots this week. With Brave Bird, U-Turn, Taunt, and Roost. I'm not sure how much I like Brave Bird on the set, but I feel like I wanted a way to hit his Mega Lopunny and Hitmonchan if they decided to come. And I feel like that would be really nice to have. U-Turn is really good for pivoting around my opponent's team. This switches into Rillaboom every single time and just U-turns out because Rillaboom is faster. And I can U-turn out on a lot of things as well. Taunt is really big because this always switches in on Goth, and I can just taunt it. Because Gothitelle is going to be Cosmic Power or Calm Mind, probably Cosmic Power. And if I convert that from doing all those shenanigans, then Goth is not really that big of a threat. I can taunt it and then U-turn out into whatever and deal with it accordingly. And Mandibuzz is just really good in that sense of the scenario. I keep saying and, I apologize. This is also a backup switch into the Darm if it decides to come. It's not my greatest because I need Mandibuzz alive and healthy, and Banded Blitz does like 80%, which is just stupid. So I definitely have to be careful playing around that. And same with the Lopunny. It's also here to deal with that thing as well. That is Mandibuzz. Third up is my other physical wall on the team. It is Slowking. Slowking is max bold with Rocky Helmet again. What do you know? I have Nasty Plot, Scald, Psyshock, and Teleport. Now Teleport is there to get out of Goth situations because again that thing is very scary. Scald and Psyshock was pretty spammable against my opponent. This switches into the Mega Lopunny, the Darm, the Rhyperior. Those are the three big ones, and Hitmonchan as well. It's my best way to sort of like switch into a Suicune, quote. I expect Suicune to be a Calm Mind, Toxic Sub, Scald, and while I can't beat that 1v1, I can keep it from keeping up a sub and keeping it kind of low, and that's pretty nice, but I also need Slowking to do other things, so I'm not sure how much I like that scenario. Scald Burn's always nice to spread around against my opponent's team. It's a backup switch to Hatterene if Ferrothorn goes down. Slowking is just very important in this matchup overall, and Regenerator is just so nice on this mon. Fourth up is Salazzle. Salazzle is max attack modest with the choice specs, Moves being a Flamethrower, a Sludge Bomb, a Sludge Wave, and Taunt. I decided to do this because Rhyperior is probably going to be coming, it's going to be bulky. If Gothitelle is physically bulky, then I can click Sludge Bomb pretty freely, because Celesteela is never going to switch in, let's be real. And Sludge Bomb gives me the Poison chance on the Rhyperior, and if I get a Poison, that thing gets crippled down very fast. Sludge Wave is for the extra damage output if it's a especially defensive Gothitelle. If rocks are up, I can almost guarantee 2-ko that, so I definitely have to watch out with the rocks and get some chip on that Goth. And this also does like half to just a max HP Suicune. This thing hits insanely hard. I feel like it'd be very useful. It offensively beats like the Hat, the Rillaboom, the Darm, Avalugg if it wants to come. It does a lot of damage in this game, and I almost brought the Toxic Taunt set, but I felt like this would just be a little bit better overall, just because of how bulky his team is. I felt like I needed a breaker instead of a stall breaker at this point. That is Salazzle. Fifth up is Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr is holding the Shed Shell, my first Shed Shell user. Max HP, a lot of attack, moves being Bulk Up, Drain Punch, Knock Off, and Thunder Punch. With the Bulk Up, his team does not have a switch into this thing whatsoever. He's a lot of physical attackers on his team, so I didn't really feel like I needed Mach Punch. If I get a Bulk Up, I can live any physical attack and just get my health back with Drain Punch. His team is very fighting weak. If I get a Bulk Up and Goth comes in, Knock Off just almost obliterates that. It doesn't kill it, but it does so much damage. I can always switch out if I need to. And that last move's T-Punch. I wanted to hit the Suicune and the Celesteela. I'm not sure how much I like this on this slot. I wanted Taunt or maybe like Facade in this slot, but it is not that. And I have Guts just in case he wants to Scald Burn me with Suicune. And then finally we have Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn also has the Shed Shell. This is Max Bedef with Sassy Nature. Stealth Rock, Leech Seed, Ironhead, Knockoff. My opponent does not need to know that I don't have a Grass move for the Suicune whatsoever. Rocks are up. Once they're up, they're there to stay. I don't think he's going to switch in Hat on Ferrothorn. If he does, then props to him. And if he brings a spinner, then that is one less threat to deal with, because his spinners aren't that scary against my team. Lead Sheet just for general recovery, and the Iron Head and Knockoff was really all I needed for his team. Knockoff's good utility, and Iron Head is just nice to hit things. I, again, didn't really need the grass move on this thing, and I have Shed Shell because the Goth can sort of beat me down. Or it can't beat me down, but it can set up in my face, and I don't want that to be a thing. This was a mixed bulk, but I felt like I wanted to take the Mystical Fire from the hat, so that's why I decided to run all this Spadef in the end. And that is going to be it for the team. Ooh, that was a little bit of a longer team builder. Again, very excited for this battle. I really hope the Zeraora and the Mandibuzz put in work. Those two definitely seem like the most important members on the team. But Salazzle is also pretty big, as well as the Slowking can have his role depending on what comes. But that is all for the team builder. We're going to head over to Pokemon Showdown, and we're going to watch the battle. Alright, we have arrived at Pokemon Showdown. My opponent did not bring the hat, but did bring the Rillaboom and Mega Lopunny. And also Rhyperior was left on the bench, so Spec Salazzle looks pretty good here. In regards to lead, I am going to lead off with the Zeraora. I know Darm's probably going to be a lead, but just in case, I want to send it out there if Suicune does lead. So Darm is going to be the lead, as I sort of thought it would be. I'm going to switch into the Slowking and just see what type of Darm this is going to be, as they're going to click U-turn. Thank God that is Choice Scarf damage and not Band damage, because if it was Band, this could have been a problem. He brings up the Celesteela. I'm just going to go out into the Ferrothorn just to see what this thing wants to do, as he doubles back out into Goth. Because I do have my Shed Shell, this is not that big of a deal, so I'm just going to switch out into the Mandibuzz as he goes back out into Darm. Since it's a Scarf, I know even a crit Flare Blitz doesn't kill me, so I'm going to U-turn out as he goes for Rock Slide. And I'm assuming this thing is going to be Scarf, so I'm going to go out into the Conkeldurr instead of like the Slowking. So now I can click a button. I'm going to click Knockoff as the Gothitelle comes out, and that is great, because this does 54%, and I knock off its leftovers. That was a really big turn there, and I have Shed Shell, so I can just get the hell out of there, which is awesome. This is a very physically bulky Gothitelle, like almost max, I think. I'm going to taunt it, as this is the Cosmic Power set, as he reveals Cosmic Power and Rest. So I'm assuming the last moves are Stored Power and Thunderbolt, but it could be Stored Power and Sleep Talk still. I'm going to U-turn out there, so it wasn't. I could have gone out on the Ferrothorn and Leech Seeded down since it was taunted, but he went out on the Celesteela. I'm going to Volt out here, as he actually does stay in. I wasn't expecting him to. I could have just clicked Plasma Fist there and just did a load of damage. As it goes out, and I go on the Ferrothorn just to see what it's going to do, as he goes for Leech Seed, so he didn't even click Earthquake like I thought he would, but that's fine. I can click Leech Seed of my own here. As it goes down the Darm, I'm actually going to click Rocks instead. I don't know why I just said that. Rocks are here to stay now because he doesn't have a spinner or a Magic Bounce or any of that nonsense. I'm going to go out into Slowking, and he just clicks Flare Blitz here. He's going to take a lot of recoil from the Recoil and a Rocky Helmet. This turn, he's going to click Flare Blitz again. I actually Teleport, which is actually a nice play because he just stays in and click the Flare Blitz. I click Teleport just in case he did do that. So that's really nice. I can just go back on the Slowking. It's going to be the same process. I don't end up with any more health, really. It's just that this Darm is actually dead this time. So 13 turns into the battle, we get a kill, and rocks are up. So things are looking pretty good right now. It's not like guaranteed, but I'm going to switch out the Slowking, get some health back, and go into Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is a really good switch into this Rillaboom as he clicks Knockoff. I can't go into Ferrothorn because this thing has Knockoff. Otherwise, Ferrothorn would be able to beat this thing. I'm just going to roost up because I need Mandibuzz somewhat healthy to deal with the Rillaboom and the Mega Lopunny. So I'm going to stay pretty healthy. He does go on a Suicune, which is the correct play. I can't really U-turn because I don't want to risk being a toxic poisoned. So I'm just going to go on the Conk. I do this because at this point, Conk is really only here for the Suicune. I guess the Lopunny too. But I'd rather chip this Suicune down with Conk instead of Zeraora. So that's what we're going to go with. I do click Thunder Punch here as Goth comes out. And Goth lives the hit. And that's really unfortunate. I got the Guts boost too. So this thing is stupid bulky. That's big because I am slower than this Gothitelle, and I can't just stay in. And if I wasn't Toxic Poisoned, I'd easily would have stayed in there and clicked Bulk Up, knowing he's going to click Rest here. But because I am on a Toxic Timer, then I didn't really see the point in that. So Goth's all the way back up and healthy. I'm going to taunt it just in case this thing has Sleep Talk. He could have just ran the Mono Psychic attacking move and just waited for me to knock out my Mandibuzz to get knocked out. He could definitely very well do that, so I still want to taunt that thing. I'm going to U-turn out and go back out into the Ferrothorn. At this point, it seems like he doesn't have too much with their Ferrothorn, but he's only revealed the Earthquake and Leech Seed so far, so I definitely expect him to bust out Flamethrower at some point. He goes out on Rillaboom. That's a smart play. I did want to Leech Seed and get some health back, but, you know, I can't do that against Rillaboom. I can't get my Shed Shell knocked off or Goth becomes a problem, so I'm going to go back on the Mandibuzz. He U-turns, which is the smart play, and now he can go back out into Suicune. it's a rinsing and repeat a cycle here. It's kind of scary because I don't like the Suicune coming in and out of the battle, as my Conk is going to go down at some point. I'm going to continue to switch in the Conk on the Suicune, as he does set up a Calm Mind here. That kind of sucks, but I will be able to live a Scald even at +1. So I'm going to click Drain Punch, as Suicune is going to go for a Scald. That does 41%, and I think that's a low roll, so that kind of sucks for my opponent. As after this, I'm going to be at 40%. I originally thought this was a roll, but after some calcing, the Scald is guaranteed a kill against me at this point. So Conk does go down. I do get a little bit of chip on the Suicune, but the important thing is that I get a free switch into Zeraora, and I can just click Plasma Fist. It's going to do a lot to anything that wants to take it. Suicune's going to stay in and take the hit, and I just got to hope I don't get burnt at this point, as I do take a little bit of Life Orb recoil. He clicks Scald, and he crits me. That is really annoying. I'm happy he didn't burn me. I'm really happy about that. And I'm going to click Volt Switch here because it's a guaranteed kill, even with the Spit F boost, because he's max bulk on the physical side. But that really sucks because you see I only have one hit left in me because I have Life Orb. If I didn't get crit, I could have had probably 3. I'm going to say 3 hits, and that would have been really nice to have. If I go out on a Mandibuzz to force out the Celesteela, I can U-turn and just go out into the... I go out in Slowking this time, expecting him to go for a Flamethrower. He just goes for Leech Seed. I did this because I didn't want the Celesteela getting a Beast Boost now that my Zeraora is really low. So I go back out on the Mandibuzz, and he clicks Toxic. And that was a really bad play on my part, going into Mandibuzz on this Celesteela. I just made it that this Goth can possibly just sweep my team now because I'm on a Toxic timer. That was really bad. At this point, I know this thing doesn't even have Flamethrower because there's no way you're going to run Earthquake Flamethrower. He does have Heavy Slam, that's why I set that. So I made a pretty big misplay there. I do get some regen on Slowking, but my Mandibuzz is Toxic Poisoned. And he's refusing to let me gain health on this Rillaboom as I'm trying to get Leech Seed off on the Celesteela. So that's a pretty smart play. I'm going to go on the Mandibuzz now because it's my only switch in again, as he's just going to knock off. He knows that if he knocks off my Shed Shell on Ferrothorn, that Goth can definitely come and bring it back, especially because I'm on a timer now. I'm going to Roost just to try and stay healthy as possible for the Rillaboom still. I can U-turn out on the Celesteela if it wants to come out like it did right now. And that's exactly what I'm going to do after I get some Toxic chip on myself. Sorry, I keep burping. I just drank a whole soda. U-turn out. I'm going to go out into the Ferrothorn because I know he can't touch me, as he just fires off an Earthquake and does some chip damage. This time, since Celesteela still has its leftovers, I'm going to click Knock Off, expecting Rillaboom to come out, as it does come out. So at least I'll get something out of this turn. And Rillaboom, unfortunately, does live the hit. It was actually Choice Scarf, which I didn't even realize the entire game. I was kind of shocked he was Choice Scarf Rillaboom. But, I mean, we learned together, right? He clicks Drum Beating, which kind of shocked me. I could have definitely just stayed in and clicked Iron Head and killed it, but I didn't, obviously. And at this point, I'm just going to U-turn out and kill this Rillaboom, because I didn't really see a point in roosting, because just Drum Beating plus Toxic would do a little too much. So Rillaboom goes down, and I'm going to go out into Zeraora. If I didn't get crit earlier, I probably wouldn't do this play, but since I did, I felt the opportunity to just click Plasma Fist on the Goth and sack myself. I do this because if this thing does have Sleep Talk, I didn't want to go out into Salazzle, and Salazzle does 2-ko it, but if he got like Sleep Talk and a Cosmic Power, then it could be a whole big problem. And this way, I can guarantee get the kill on Goth now. So I click Flamethrower, and we kill it. So it's 4-2. Things are looking pretty good. Lopunny is faster than my entire team. As now, I should stay in and click Flamethrower, knowing Ferrothorn always beats Celesteela. But I switch out, and I'm thinking this thing could have Power Punch to predict me, and he does. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I did see that on the calc, I guaranteed live a Thunder Punch unless he crits me here. So I'm going to stay in and click Psyshock, and he has the Last Resort. That was really bad. I'm going to let you guys know, this is really big because Ferrothorn barely has a chance to live Power Punch, and it's a 56.3% chance to live the Last Resort. And I don't live it. And now the game's over all of a sudden. Yeah, I choked here really badly. All I had to do was stay in and click Flamethrower. If he couldn't even kill me with anything, but let's say he had Return whatsoever, I would have just went out into like Slowking the next turn. But here he sweeps my team with Last Resort Mega Lopunny, and we are going to lose 2-0 to Brett in the semifinals, and our PCP run ends here. So GG to my opponent, Brett. This battle right here is really hard to swallow, guys. This was basically nothing but a choke on my end. I feel like my prep was really good in this battle overall. 90% of the plays I made, I could sort of back up, and I think we're pretty good. I feel like I maintained the momentum for the majority of this battle. It was just the 2 turns in a row at the very end that I misplayed really badly, cost me the end of the game, and that just really sucks. I'm not that salty about it, and I would usually be upset, but I sort of needed the season to end. Not because I wanted it to, it's just because with school and all the leagues I am in, it is really kicking my ass right now, and I've been really stressed off screen recently. And knowing that this was going to be the first draft that was going to finish up of the 3 that I've done in the winter, I sort of just needed this to speed up and kind of end. So I guess it's okay. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to take anything away from my opponent Brett in this game. He still played really well. He had some really solid prep with the Mega Lopunny, the Power Punch Last Resort set. I actually have brought that set when I did draft it before. He had a lot more success with it here. But again, GG to my opponent Brett. Good luck in the finals against either Shay or Marcus, depending on what happens there. This will be our last PCP video because we lost in semifinals. We don't really have much else to do now that we're knocked out. I do want to thank Shay so much for letting me be a part of his draft league. I had a lot of fun in this league, and I really appreciate it when you approached me on Twitter in November when I was asking for leagues to join. This league was here, and again, I've had a lot of fun in this league. If I return or not, it is questionable. It really does depend on when the draft is. I know this is a league with Shay and his buddies, and they're all having a good old dandy time. They're still trying to win, of course, and everything's all there. I'm a very competitive person. Shay knows that. I know that. I'm a sweaty tryhard. I'm not sure if I'll come back in regards, because it's a fun league when you look at it in some aspects, and that's why I want to look at more of a competitive aspect. But at the same time, I do want to slow down on drafts a bit because I am stressing myself out a lot, especially when I lose. I sort of beat myself up a little too much sometimes, and I think that's really unhealthy. That's a topic for a whole another video, though. If you guys watch any of my draft content, you know if I end off the season, I am going to go over season stats with the team I had. So that is about what we're going to do in a second. And in regards to the end of the video against Brett, this is going to be the end here. So if you guys want to click off, that is fine. Thank you for watching. But we're going to head over and look at my team. So this was the first redraft league I've ever been a part of, so that was definitely a new experience as well, and I'm glad I did experience it. When I break down these season stats, I'm going to mainly focus on the second team, but I do want to briefly talk about the first team first. The first team I loved. It was a Galar Dex only meta game, and it was pre-home. Pre-home meta is probably one of my favorites I've ever had, even though pre-home meta was only around for like 2 months. I loved it, and the team that I drafted was perfectly fitted for that meta game. I went 5-0 in the first 5 games, and I just loved the team so much. I felt like Conk and Salazzle were just absolutely amazing together. Mons that I didn't pick it back up, like Gardevoir and Jellicent, I really enjoyed using as well. I didn't get to use Kramer and Raichu like I wanted to, but it is what it is. I also used Flygon as well, which is always nice. Flygon put in some work at some games, even though it doesn't have a kill, but, you know, whatever. That's mainly the first team. I'm going to focus more on the second team here. The second team was still pretty solid. I kind of liked my first team a little bit more in comparison to the rest of the league, but I still liked my second team. I had a lot of mons I'd used before, but there were also new mons that I got to experience for the first time, namely Conkeldurr. That thing went 16-3 in the regular season. Holy shit. That thing punches things, man. Salazzle and Zeraora, I always love those mons, and I continue to love them because they put in work in this league. Mandibuzz is so good. I've only used it ever in a tournament. I never actually drafted it, and I do not regret it. I will 100% pick up Mandibuzz at some point again just because of how good this damn thing is. Donphan, I'm using it again. It's really good. I didn't really use it too much, but it's always a pleasure to use, as well as the Slowking and PZ. I really liked PZ. Even though I brought it once, I prepped with it a lot, and I really enjoyed it. It was like 7th mon and 8th mon a lot. It just didn't make the cut. Ferrothorn for coming a lot it's okay. It's a Ferrothorn. It's kind of just whatever. It's there. It can do a lot of different and cool things, but I feel like I just use Ferrothorn in the same way every week, so I wasn't that cool with it, except for the Iron Defense Body Press, which it didn't end up working, but I did bring that to one game. And even Crustle I did enjoy a bit. I kept that on my redraft team for whatever reason, and Crustle, it's cool. I don't know if I'll draft it again, but, you know, it's a cool mon. Shoutouts to that. The only really underwhelming mon here is Mega Sceptile. I love Mega Sceptile's design. It's one of my favorite Megas in regards to the design. In competitive, I thought it'd be pretty good. It was just kind of whatever. I really don't feel like it fit on the team that well, but I still feel like it could have done a little bit more. Even in prep, I didn't really enjoy it too much. I don't know. There's not going to be many leagues where there's Megas now that it's Gen 8, but if there is, I probably won't look towards Mega Sceptile. And then finally, I drafted Applin. It didn't come because I suck and I didn't bring it against Calpet like I should have. He also has 2 Ice types though, so I mean, I don't know. But that's going to wrap it up for the season stats, and that is going to wrap it up for our PCP run. Thank you to everybody who has supported me throughout this run. This was a really fun season, one of my favorites, and to start off Generation 8 on such a strong note, I'm feeling pretty good. We're not doing as hot in the other league so far, but I still really liked PCP a lot. And that is going to wrap it up for this video, finally. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.